All right, so I'm going live in a couple of places. So you can watch from my personal page if you're friends with me on Facebook, my business page, Chef Ashley Shep. You can check this out there. And then also, I think I'm on YouTube. I'm testing out this new software. Hopefully it works. Hopefully I'm doing this right. So if you can see and hear me, give me a heart or a smiley face in the comments. And as you all are coming in, let me know where you are watching from in the world. And one thing you are looking forward to in 2021 as we are winding down the year. So, all right, let me just double check that I am live on the different platforms. I'm testing out some software. I think I'm good to go. Oh, and so with the software, you will have to grant access to it. So basically that'll let me see your name. It's kind of a privacy thing since I'm not going live directly from my, okay, we're good on Facebook. Since I'm not live directly from my Facebook page, you just click the little link and it'll say give Restream permission to access your name. Hey Meredith, thanks for tuning in. So I can see her, she's good to go. All right, so welcome to the book launch party. I use party loosely because this is gonna be more of a healing session, a year in review from a year that a lot of us are ready for it to be over. Hey, April from North Carolina. Hey, Keisha. Thanks for coming. Hey, I'm Vicky. And so also, if you see me looking up, I have Instagram is the only platform that I can't use with the same software. So if you see me going back and forth, that's the deal. I got Instagram on my phone and then all the other platforms on my computer. So hey, Virgo Child Mob. Hey, Conrad. And hey, Kimberly. Thanks for tuning in. All right, we got Stacy from Hiram. And then April. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Yes, it is my birthday. It's my 33rd birthday. And so it's my Jesus here. If you haven't heard that phrase before, just because Jesus did a lot of his major works when he was 33. And so I am taking this opportunity to celebrate my birthday and to also present a gift that I have to the world. And so we'll kind of start with some of the background of where the book came from, where the ideas came from, and then also we'll do some giveaways. So stick around for those. And sorry, if you hear me, I talk really fast, and so I'm trying to slow down to make sure I say everything correctly. But we are going to have some giveaways. So if you haven't already ordered your copy of the book, then that is actually one of the giveaways that you can win. And so and then also if you have questions throughout the night, just let me know, drop them in the comments, and I'll answer them as I see them. So this will just be very chill and relaxed. And I did want to show you all my shirt. This is from a company called the Happy Givers. They have a lot of, they have masks, they have shirts, they have different products that really just, to me, speak to what it means to be a Christian. And in a way that's not always the way that we're displayed, not always the way that Christianity is shown in the world. A lot of times we get the rap as Christians as being very judgmental and not really looking out for our fellow brother. And so this was one of the shirts that I liked from them. And it just basically says love your neighbor. And it has all the different categories of people who are not always receiving love from Christians and from non-Christians alike. And so you can check them out. They're called the Happy Givers on Instagram and Facebook and happygivers.com. So, all right, back on Instagram. Hey, girl, thanks for tuning in. Hey, Ma. Trying to check all the comments. Okay, so to start off, the inspiration for the book came actually from a challenge. And so 2017, I was at church one Sunday, and one of our ushers, Liz Roberts, she's not on right now because she's out of town. She had a death in her family. But she was just mentioning how we were about to do the Daniel fast. And she was like, I don't know what I'm going to eat. And at that point, I had just started my Chef Ashley Shep business. It was just coming about. And I was like, wait, I can help with that. And so from that, I developed a 21-day challenge to match with the Daniel fast. And so if you purchase a bundle, then that's actually what you are getting as a part of your book bundle. You will get a copy of, or not a copy, you'll get access to the 21-day challenge. And what that includes is daily emails, devotionals. It will include 3 weeks of recipes and meal plans. And then we'll also do weekly check-ins with you just to kind of make sure you're on track, to keep you, to just keep you motivated, keep you inspired, and to keep you focused. And so I'm going to put the link for that in the comments. If you haven't already gotten your book bundle, they're still available. And so They'll be available until tomorrow. After tomorrow, then you'll have to purchase your book on Amazon, and you won't be able to get the bundle. You'll just be able to get the book. Also with, sorry, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. Also with the book bundle, you'll be able to get access to additional bonuses that I will not tell you here, but there are some different things that you will be able to have as well. So I put that in the comments. That same link, if you just want to order a copy of the book, that's perfectly fine. You can get it there as well. The book is $11.99, and then the book bundle is $47. You get a copy of the book. You get the access to the Daniel Fast Challenge, which is the email series, the 3 weeks of recipes, and then the weekly check-ins. And then you also will get access to the Daniel Fast course, which I will give you a preview of later on. So thank you to those of you who have already purchased their bundle. I know Stacy, she got a copy of the book. Keisha got a copy of the book. And you may have gotten a bundle or not. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I appreciate it and support you. And I appreciate your support. So back to the inspiration. So Liz from my church, she was just saying that. And so she wasn't sure what she was going to eat. And this is around the time where I was just kind of getting my footing. I wasn't exactly 100% sure what my business was going to look like. Some of you know I have a previous business, Palmetto Peaches, but that was a very different background. I've always been a creative person, but coming into a personal chef business, it's very different. It wasn't the same preparation, and also accompanying that with the spiritual side of having devotionals for people to read to guide them through their fast. The first year for the challenge, I actually outsourced that to one of my line sisters, who was our chaplain, one of my sorority sisters. She was our chaplain when we were in college. And then the second year I did the challenge, she wasn't able to do it. I think she had some stuff going on with herself, and so she wasn't able to do it. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to write them. And so through that process, it helped me to actually see and understand the dependency that some of us have on certain types of foods. And so y'all know I'm a dessert lover. I just got ice cream. So you hear the door going on. We got Uber Eats delivered ice cream. Because it's my birthday. I need something. I need the dessert. And so, but through the process of writing the Daniel Fast Challenge, which later we're getting to the journal, I was able to kind of see the dependency that people, and even myself included, have on food in terms of putting it above their time with God or putting it above their relationship with other people, and how it became an idol. And through writing the challenge, so through writing the emails, sending to people, and then also providing the recipes, of course, and the weekly support, that was actually a time where I was able to see that food was my ministry. And at that time, I didn't really think that it was that could be possible. I thought, okay, well, I mean, when you say your ministry, so if that doesn't make sense to you, for example, your thing that could bring people closer to God, or your thing that's your purpose. And so during that time, I was able to see that was possible, because when you think about it, food is something, we eat it every day. You need it to survive, but at the same time, you also need, if you're a Christian, I assume you're a Christian, you also need Jesus to survive. And so some of us put our priorities out of whack. We don't necessarily spend as much time focusing on Jesus or God as we do on our food. And so that was something that I was able to really come into my own and kind of get out of the whole imposter syndrome situation that I was dealing with, which is where you think you're not qualified to do the thing that you're already qualified to do. And it could be because you don't have training in that area, or because you don't feel adequate to be in that space. And that's something that a lot of Black women deal with, partially just because of the way society responds to us. And then also the way that we inherently absorb that, and move in our spaces, in our workplaces, or wherever. And so doing the Daniel Fast Challenge helped me to come out of that space. And so then later, someone said, well, why don't you make this a book? And I thought, okay, I mean, sure, why not? And so last year, so 2019, at the end of the year, so we normally do the challenges in January. At the end of the year, I converted it into a book format. So essentially adding spaces for people to be able to write, adding questions so that they would have a space, that they would have something to kind of frame their thoughts through as well. And so at that time, I had also done a book writing challenge with a group called Six Figure Self-Publishing Success Secrets, with this author named Crystal Swain Bates. And she is, she's an Amazon best-selling author. She's sold almost 300,000 copies of her books on Amazon and other places too. She's in stores as well. And so after doing that challenge, it just seemed like a natural fit to turn this into a book. And so I'm thinking, all right, December's here, cool. All right, so I can get this out maybe by January in time for fast, but it might be too soon. And so January comes and goes. And at this point, William is 2 months old because he was born in October. So this was also crazy for me to think that I was going to have time to put out a book in like 4 weeks when people take years and years and years to put out books. And so time passed, and then I decided that I was going to get her publishing package. And so that means that she would basically go through the process of designing the cover, formatting the inside, meaning making it look like a book. So putting the words and the places they'll go. And I'll show you what the inside of the book looks like as well. If you haven't already seen it. And so essentially that whole process took until last week. What day is it? It's the 20th. It's 28th. It's my birthday. It took until December 11th in order to get it formatted, to get the cover design, get it formatted the correct way so that it fit properly on the different sites that I needed to post it on. And then all in the mix of that, we have COVID, we have social unrest that's happening. I switched jobs. There were just all these things that were just kind of a deterrent. And so I'm sure for you this year, you've had things that have gotten in your way. You've had things that turned out the way you didn't think they were going to. And for some of us, it was a time for us to pause, and it was a time for us to really reflect, okay, what's really important right now? What are the things that I need to focus on in my life? And you often hear the term, a delay is not a denial. And that's super true. That's very true for me, because this felt really delayed, especially with having the New Mom Thoughts book in between this. So if you're new to me, I also released another journal for moms. It's a 52-week guided journal to help moms during the postpartum period. And I wrote it because I was a mom during the postpartum period. And I didn't find books that spoke to me. They were either full of curse words about being moms, or they were really snarky, or they were all about the baby. And so that came out in September. And from like inception to creation, that was a 6-month process. And that strictly was from God. That was not something I had planned on doing. It was a healing process for me. And at this point, I just checked yesterday, I've sold 199 copies since September. And so that's amazing, because that means there's almost 200 moms out there that are getting the help and getting the healing they need, especially in a time right now. I have some friends who are, sorry, this is a tangent. Thanks for being with me. I have some friends who are new moms. Like, they just had a baby this year, and they're dealing with having to not be able to see their families because babies are already super, not germy, but they're already super, what's the word? I'm looking for, already super susceptible to getting a bunch of germs, and then you add COVID on top of that. And so I say all that to say is that sometimes God will deter you from doing something because there's something else that needs to happen first. And it could be something you didn't even think about. It could be something that you had no idea was going to be an option, which for me was the case. It could be something that you had previously, but now it suddenly popped up and became the right time. And so when those things happen to you, or if it's just something from the outside world, like COVID happened to all of us, it's really important to take the time to really consider and to step back and think, okay, what is this trying to teach me? And I'm speaking from a place for myself. I'm somebody who is action oriented. I know everybody is not necessarily like that, and that's fine. So I'm just speaking from my experience. I'm not saying that everybody needs to go write books during a pandemic. That's crazy. Everybody's not doing that. But I do want to say that I think it's important to really reflect. So thinking about this year. So in the comments, I want you to add, what's something this year that was maybe unexpected that turned out to be a positive thing? What's something that you gained during COVID that you didn't previously have? And while y'all are thinking about that, for me personally, okay, writing 2 books during COVID was something that I didn't expect. I also got to spend 6 months at home with my son. At that point, he was, when we went into quarantine, he was 6 months old. No, he was 5-6 months old. And we got to spend 6 additional months home because I'm a teacher during the year. And so then I also had the time for the summer. And so that was something I was not anticipating. That wasn't something I was expecting, but it was definitely a plus and a benefit for me and my family. And then same thing, my husband, he started working from home. I started working from home because I also switched jobs. That was another thing that I was not expecting to do after working somewhere for 10 years. But it turned out to be something that was a blessing that made it so that I'm able to do other things, including spend time with my son, and to just have other opportunities. So I think, let me check my stream, make sure we're still good. So anytime you're going through something, I want you to consider, what is this trying to teach me? And what can I get out of this? So what experiences can I get out of this? All right, so it is time for our first giveaway. I'm going to check some of the comments as well. So in the comments, our first giveaway is for a book bundle. So that includes the Daniel Fast Challenge. That includes the Daniel Fast course. And then also a copy of the book. And so in the comments, if you can tell me who inspired the Daniel Fast Challenge, then you will be the winner. So you can type her name or how I know her. And hey, on Instagram, thanks for tuning in. Hey, Kaltai and Pastry Chef Mariah. We're just going over, we have our first giveaway, and we're talking about how a delay is not always a denial. And if you just tuned in, you might not be able to answer this question since this was from earlier, but stay tuned because we'll have some more giveaways. So, all right, let me read the comments while y'all are doing that. Okay, so April said she's looking forward to giving her family healthy eating choices for the rest of their lives. She needs a lot of help. They have 5 children and different eating habits, and then her husband and her work full time. Okay, so April, I definitely encourage you to join my Food Fam Facebook group because that's a place where I give support for picky eaters, eaters if one person's pescatarian, the other person doesn't eat this, that kind of stuff. But definitely with the Daniel Fast, and I should have explained this earlier, it's basically a vegan diet, and so with a few caveats. So you can eat any plants, eating plants essentially, any nuts, seeds, things like that. All of those are fine. You are avoiding processed foods. And so I don't just say a vegan diet because Oreos are vegan. Some people don't know that, but they are. And so anything that is a plant, so like any plants or vegetables, any fruits, vegetables, seeds. Some versions of the Daniel Fast do whole grains. And so if that's something that you want to do, some avoid flour. I leave that up to people as they decide because people have different dietary needs. Also, if you are doing this for the first time or if you have a new condition that you didn't have when you did it previously, you do want to consult your physician to make sure that this is something that you can do healthily. And you can also make modifications to it. So I know a few years our church has done where it wasn't 3 weeks of just the plant-based diet. Some of the weeks were no social media. So we're fasting from social media. If that's something that is a crutch for you, or if that's something that is pulling you away from God, then maybe that's something you need to fast from. I know other people, they've fasted from profane images. So like watching movies with curse words, not doing that, or avoiding certain things that cause triggers because your eyes, obviously, they absorb content. And so you want to be careful to do that. So think about if you aren't able to physically fast from food. Like I have a friend who had kidney surgery, and so he has to talk to his doctor about what would be the best option for him. Think about if there's something else that you can fast from. Hey, Sarah, thanks for tuning in. All right, let's see. Oh, okay. So over on Carell said it is inspired by the story from Daniel. So yes, the Daniel Fast is inspired by the story from Daniel. I didn't mean to say she. Oh, I meant who inspired me to write the challenge. That's the confusion. Okay. All right. So, okay, Vicky, she won. Yes, my friend from church. So she will get the first giveaway for the bundle. Let me write your name down to make sure we can get that to you. All right. And okay, so Stacy said she purchased the bundle. Yes, Stacy, thank you so much. She's excited to complete this for the new year, getting healthier and learning how to season a plant-based meal better. Yep. So that's another thing with seasonings. And so this is kind of a talk I had with my pastors. Depending upon how many times you've done the Daniel Fast or your level of sacrifice or your level of, I don't want to say dedication, but your level of sacrifice, I guess I'll leave it at that. I will have different versions of the recipes where I'll say, okay, yes, we have some seasonings. For some of us, eating only plants is a challenge in itself. For others of us, that's not going to be as big of a pull. And so maybe you might want to do no seasonings on your food if that's a bigger challenge for you. And so you'll have that option. And that's one of the things where it is up to you to be able to have that time with God, to have that conversation and say, okay, what am I going to give up? For example, for me, peanut butter is one of my favorite foods. And technically, I can have peanut butter on the Daniel Fast because it's a nut. and I buy the peanut butter that the only ingredient is peanuts. And so I could say, oh, well, this is going to be my treat. But for me, that's not really a sacrifice. And so I don't eat peanut butter while I'm on the Daniel fast, because that wouldn't really be anything deep for me to try to do. All right, so any questions? I guess y'all are just paying attention and hanging out. April, I can see your name, so I guess I didn't have to do the, I guess you didn't have to click the link. So, all right, so moving along. I have notes because mommy brain, I want to make sure I cover everything. But if you have any questions about the Daniel fast, about the process, about book writing processes, I will talk to you about that as well. And so let's move into that. So, the book writing process, essentially, if you are somebody who wants to be a self-published author, it could be in the form of journals. It could be in the form of, my husband's giving me the thumbs up. He's going upstairs. And so it could be in the form of journals. It could be in the form of an actual fiction book, nonfiction book. But if you want to be a self-published author, there's a couple ways you can go about it. And shout out to my brother, because he is a 4-time self-published author, and he also has helped me out a ton. Conrad, thanks for tuning in. And so you would basically write your book, and there's different platforms. Like Amazon is one where you can upload it. And hey, Stephanie, thanks for tuning in. You can upload your book there, and Amazon will distribute your book for you. So they will basically market it for you. People can just type in things. So if someone's looking for resources on the Daniel Fast, my book would come up for them on Amazon. They will ship it. They print it. And fortunately, for those of you who have already purchased your book, some of them are on the way. And actually, some of them got there today. So if you're in some parts of Georgia, some of them got there today. Stacy, I think yours is coming tomorrow. I have to double check. But you'll get an email confirmation when your book arrives. And thanks to the power of Amazon, because I used Prime. And so I was able to get them to you a lot faster than I thought I was going to be able to. Which is actually a segue for another blessing. And so one of the things when I was looking at publishing this, I was kind of hesitant to start marketing. And one of the reasons for that is because, hey, BTN Salon, thanks for tuning in on Instagram, was because I didn't have a publishing date. I wasn't sure when the book was going to be accepted. Normally, the timeline on Amazon is 1 to 3 days, sometimes less than that. This time, they quoted me 10 days, and it's 10 business days. And so I uploaded the book December 11th. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to be able to get this done at the time that it needs to get done for people to be able to get it. And Carl, I saw your answer about you saying her versus him. Let me scroll up. Oh, okay, Carell, you can get the bundle too then. But Carell, you were already getting a copy. But if you want to give it to somebody else, that's true. You were correct. Sorry. It's hard to look at 2 monitors at the same time. And so, okay, yeah. So December 11th, I'm thinking people need to get these books by a certain time. The mail is not doing what the mail needs to do right now, which is not their fault because they were not given the proper measures in place to be able to do it. That's a whole other tangent. But really any mail. So all of the mail systems are backed up. I'm thinking there's no way people are going to get these books by the time the Daniel Fast starts in January, which is when a lot of people do it. And so I'm like, all right, half joking, half serious. I'm like, Lord, I need the anointing to fall on this shipping. I need the anointing to fall on this approval process. And that's exactly what happened. And so they quoted me 10 days to get my book approved. It was approved in 7. So then that was December 21st. Then I ordered my author copies, which are basically the copies you get as the author to check them, like how they sound. You check them out, make sure there's no errors, things like that. And then if there are errors, you have to go back in and re-upload it, which can take an additional up to 10 days in this case due to COVID. So those books were received in 3 days, when normally it takes 3 days just to print the book. Because what happens is they print it on demand, meaning that they print it once somebody orders it. So for my books, they come from South Carolina. And I only know that because in the back of the book it has the printer location, and it'll tell you the day it prints. And so I ordered them December 21st, and then I got them on Christmas Eve. So that was miracle number 2. And then once you all started ordering your pre-sales, I started ordering your books to be able to send to you. And some of that, so that was Saturday night at like 11, 12 o'clock. Was it Saturday? Yes, Saturday night. Some people already got their books today, and then some are also showing up tomorrow. And so that, I think, is just a a sign that when you are trying to do certain things, you're trying to be in alignment with what God wants for you, then he'll meet you where you are at times. Obviously, that's not always going to be the case. And if they were late, what I was going to do was provide people, and I'm still going to do this, give people a electronic version of the journal, which you're getting anyway, still, just so you can have in case you want to print out some of the pages to be able to do it a different time, or if you are somebody that wants to journal in a separate spot, then that's perfectly fine too. Okay, so thank you, Keisha, for the little celebration. All right, Stacy said, is there a shopping list included and prepping ideas? Yes. So whether you get the book or the bundle, you will get the, sorry, reading and talking at the same time. Yes, you will get the 3 weeks worth of recipes. And so it's recipes, grocery shopping lists, and then a meal plan. The meal plan really just has the recipes on whatever day that they are. That one you don't necessarily have to follow, but I know that sometimes people like to have that structure in order to kind of map out their day. Since I am somebody who helps teach people how to meal plan and prep, I would say make that your own. Don't feel like you have to do it exactly that's on there. So, but yes, excellent question. So whether you get the book or the bundle, and I put the link back in the chat. Somebody let me know if that's clickable. I might have to add the beginning to, okay, it should be fine. Then, okay, Carell said thank you. You're welcome, Carell. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Elliot. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, so whatever your plan is, that's fine. You can use the meals to work in that way. And I made meals that were easy to make. They weren't going to take forever. There are some that are a little bit more time intensive because when you are eating a plant-based diet, if you are focused on seasoning, then you will need to infuse a little bit more flavor into it. If that's not something you're doing, if you're doing the no seasoning track, then your stuff will be done faster. The longest amount of time is really just marinating stuff, and that would be if you're doing like tempeh, which is a soy option. It's plant-based. Or not. I don't have any tofu on there because I'm not a fan of tofu, but that's another option if you want to do it as well. Hey D-White, thanks for tuning in. Sorry, I got Instagram in the back. And hey Miss Teen. And then Facebook in the front. Alright, so let's keep going. We're gonna have a giveaway, another giveaway in just a second. And so y'all did not answer me about one thing that you are either looking forward to in 2021 or one thing that was an unexpected blessing or an unexpected positive from this year. So I'm still looking for that in the chat. And all right, so we're gonna move on to the part where I will show you some of the actual book. So if you are on Instagram, you're not going to be able to see this because Instagram won't let me screen share. So let me see if I can push that to the end. Let me do that instead. I think we've pretty much done almost. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. Oh, okay, one other thing. So one other thing before that, if you want to switch over to Facebook while I'm giving this next little story situation, you can. And you can either go on my personal page or my Chef Ashley Chef page. So I said that I was hesitant to promote the book because I didn't have a launch date because I didn't know when the book was going to be accepted. And so that whole process with Amazon, we got that done. And it took about 10 days total from uploading the book, getting it approved, and me getting my copies. And then there's another site that you can upload your book to called Ingram Spark. And that's basically how your book can get into stores. And so Amazon also offers this, but it's a little bit better of a deal for the stores if you go through this separate site. And so that process generally takes 2 to 4 days, well, 2 to 3 days for them to accept your book, to get everything, your cover formatted properly and things like that. And that process was done literally in less than 12 hours for both of the paperback and the hardback. And so I didn't even think about that actually as an additional example of divine acceleration, which is our church's theme this year, where things just are happening that don't seem to make sense in the outside world, but because God's on your side, that's how it happens. So, yeah, so that was one reason. And then another reason why I was hesitant to promote the book is just because I was physically in a different place than when I wrote the book. So the book came from emails, and those emails were sent out in January of 2019. Then I reformatted the book in December 2019 to be able to launch it thinking January 2020. And then when I went to start promoting the book, so like September, October, I just was not in the same place in terms of being close to God at that point. Just being very transparent, very honest. If I can keep it real with you, put real in the comments. I feel like this is a safe space, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I think this will help somebody because I feel like a lot of us are also in the same space of not feeling like ourselves. And I'm not going to cry like I did last time, even though there's nothing wrong with crying. But this is more of a triumphant moment. I'm not going to cry unless I'm just like, oh, this is amazing how God works. But yeah, I just felt like I was not in the same space. And it was something that my pastors also recognized in me, even though we hadn't been physically together. I was talking to them about book promotion, of course, because we do the Daniel fast together with our church. And it was just something that the Holy Spirit told them that I was just not in the same space I was spiritually. I wasn't as close to God as I was previously when the book was written. And it was just a combination of things. It was clearly being on, I'm going to say lockdown, not locked. Being in quarantine for months. I had just switched jobs, and it was a slightly more stressful job than I had thought it switched than I thought it was going to be. Leading up to it, I was very unsure about the switch. And it had to do with the fact that my employer decided to use dates instead of data to determine when people would come back into the building. And I wasn't okay with that. My husband's at risk, and I have a son. And so I didn't think that was the best place for me. But at the same time, I had worked there for 10 years. And so there's this attachment. I had no reason to leave. Like my boss even said previously, come back. We would love to have you back. And so when you're ready, of course. She totally understood. And it was one of those things where, like, the night before I had to go back to work, William had to go back to daycare. I didn't have a panic attack, but I had a moment where I was like freaking out because I'm like, this is not what I want for my family. I don't feel like this is the safest decision. And I tried to call my sister. So I ran upstairs crying. Sounds so dramatic, but I went upstairs crying and tried to call my sister just to kind of talk to her. She didn't answer the phone. So then I was like, all right, well, let me open my Bible app. And I had a devotional open that I don't even remember which devotional it was. But the verse that it was opened up to was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And if you know my mom or my grandma, that's the family Bible verse. Every Christmas card, every birthday card, that is written inside of it. Anytime there's a speech at a gathering, that is what is being said. And it's something that's just like a family verse for us. And so it's trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And so then I saw that and I lost it. I was like, now I'm going to cry some more because it wasn't at that moment it shifted from I'm crying because I'm scared to now I'm crying because I'm like, all right, God, like, okay, you love me. Like, I get it. You did this on purpose. You have jokes sometimes that you think are funny and I don't think they're funny. But, and I don't think he was joking with me in that moment, but I think it was just like, look, I have you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to provide for you, whatever the case may be. And you just need to trust me during this process. And so that was September. And so then switching the job. So I knew the protection and provision. I was able to switch jobs relatively quickly, actually, from the application process to the hiring was less than 2 weeks, which is a blessing. And so it was that. And then I think just the stress of quarantine had just hit, just the stress of trying to do too much, but then also feeling kind of caged in. Yeah, and just all the things that happened this year. Like, there's so many different things that happened that it could be a reason why you would have a meltdown or why you would have some time of frustration. And so I say all that to say that made me less secure in my ability to be able to be this person who could influence other people to do something like the Daniel fast. And I think that is something that we need to be careful of and we need to be mindful of, that you don't have to be perfect to be able to be a beacon for God. You don't have to be, none of the people in the Bible were perfect, first of all. None of them, except for Jesus. But nobody in the Bible is perfect. And I think that's something that we forget. Like, a lot of people had problems, the same kinds of problems that we have today. But that doesn't mean that God still can't use you for his purpose and for his intent and to bring other people towards him. And so I think that that's something that I just wanted to share, because I feel that sometimes people think, oh, Ashley does this and does this and does this. And it's like, there's a lot of stuff I don't do right. And there's a lot of stuff that I get help with. I have a virtual assistant who helps me. My husband is a huge help with William. William is near perfect. He kind of just handles himself. Like, there's a lot of help that I have, and there's a lot of grace that I get from the people that are in my life. And so say all that to say, not to blabber, but that I just was in a different space. And so that made it so I was not able to 100% be myself in the space of promoting this book. And so now that not saying I'm 100% back to where I was before. And I feel confident in admitting that because I have a feeling that some of you are not 100% in the place you were before this year in terms of your relationship with God. Some of you maybe have gotten closer. Some of you may have gotten further apart. And that's only natural. But as long as you are making the effort to, one, realize that it's different, and then two, make the steps in order to increase your or decrease your distance, then you're on the right track. All right, let's check out the comments. My mother is saying yes, indeed, with her prayer hands, the Bible verse. And then, hey, Chef Anthony, thanks for tuning in. Hey, Nikki, yes, she has that same verse as well. Hey, Lady Virgo. All right, we have another giveaway. And let me find a question. Okay, so if you can give, Ma, you can't play this game because you know it. But if you can give the Bible verse that I just said, then you will get the next book bundle giveaway. So the Bible verse that I said that was opened up in the devotional when I was having my situation, my meltdown. All right, let me check. Hey, brown skin girl on Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. All right, Keisha said she hears me. She felt the same way in quarantine. Yes, I think Keisha has a little one as well. I think you have at least one. Yes, that's a lot, and it's perfectly okay to go through those feelings and have that. This has been a tough year, but it doesn't have to be a year that wasn't purposeful or that wasn't meaningful for us in the scope of our lives. All right, so while you are doing that, let me double check and make sure I didn't leave anything out. I think we are almost done. Unless y'all have other questions, I'm here to answer questions and open to those as well. All right, so we're going to read one of the devotionals from the journal while y'all are giving that Bible verse. And if nobody remembers, I'll do a different question. Okay, yeah, so Keisha has 2 boys. Yes, prayers for you, because I think they're both little as well. Okay, so we're going to read one of the days of the devotional. And so if you're not familiar with devotionals, basically it is, let's see if I can screen share with y'all. So basically it's just something to keep you motivated, something to keep you inspired. There's Bible verses weaved within. They generally include some kind of anecdote, some kind of story. Kind of like a little sermonette, very minimized. They usually have something relevant to whatever you're going through as well in there. And so I'm going to pick, and so when I was writing these, I tried to pick things that were relevant to people. There are some cultural references, like the color purple's mentioned in one of the days. And then a Ludacris song is also mentioned another day, but only because I'm from Atlanta and it's not like a terrible song. But so maybe let's do one of the first ones. Okay, so yes, all right, we will do day 2. You can answer, Alicia. That's fine. I mean, I guess your family too, so, but that's fine. If no one else knows, you can answer. I'm gonna check Instagram. No one's answered over there, so if you know it before my cousin Alicia answers, then you need to submit. All right, so I'm going to screen share with you on the Facebook platforms. If you are on Instagram, then it'll be like story time and you can just listen to me. Or if you want to switch over to Facebook, then that's fine. All right. Okay, so let me actually go back to the beginning so you can see the first portion of the book. And so by now you've probably seen the cover tons of times. And so inside the book, let me go past these pages. We have an introduction. So basically how this came about, why I'm credible, why you should listen to me, what the Daniel fast is, blah, blah, blah. And then basically just kind of getting your mind right for the fast and making it so that you have a place and a vision to go. And so then also how to use the journal. And so it is daily devotions. There's also weekly elements in there. So each week I'll ask how you're doing, checking in with you, and I can show you what those pages look like as well. If you get the book bundle, then you will actually get that live. So we'll have a weekly chat where we'll talk probably on Sundays about how you're doing on the fast, what kind of questions you have, how you're dealing with the cravings, how you're dealing with the headaches, things like that. All right, Alicia, yes, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. All right, so you get our next book bundle, prize number 2. Did not mean to make that smaller. I don't know why I did that. Okay. All right, so and then of course disclaimers. If you have a medical condition, of course check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, so all right. So things you can eat. So all fruits, all vegetables, all whole grains, all beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, plant-based oils. So olive oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, all of those. Water, 100% fruit juices. So if it's 100% juice, if you look at the label and it says oranges, then that's fine. And then of course vegetable juices, and then things you want to avoid, all animal products. So anything that came from an animal, so meat, obviously. Seafood, some people do use seafood on their Daniel fast. For the recipes I give, it won't include seafood, but if that's something you're doing, that's fine. Honey, because it comes from bees, things like that. You're avoiding dairy products and then heavily processed foods. And so I say that because Oreos are vegan. They don't have any animal products, but they are full of sugar. So, and then all sweeteners as well. Okay. And so anytime you're doing a change in your eating, it's important to focus on what you can have versus what you can't have, because when you do that, it becomes less limiting and it becomes something that you're able to really say, okay, well, there's options there. And I know this list still looks limited, but the whole point of this is that I'm taking care of the food for you so that you can focus on developing your faith. So I'm helping you get physically fed so you can get spiritually fed. And that was another reason why I also have developed it into this, is because people would tell me that they lost 30 pounds on the Daniel fast, and it was because they weren't eating enough, or they were only eating like the Publix fruit cups, which are delicious, and like brown rice. And there's some kind of back and forth with that. It really just depends on what your sacrifice is. If your sacrifice is, okay, I want to make sure that I am still maintaining all of my bodily functions and things like that, then I don't want to stretch myself that far, then that's fine. Some people do a water diet for the Daniel fast. That's up to you. That's not something I recommend for most people. But once again, not a doctor. So if that's something you're going to do, please consult your doctor about that. So, hey Kim, thanks for tuning in. Corella, the question was, what was the Bible verse that I gave? And it was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. All right, so let's get into some of the days. So I give you some meal planning tips. These are the same tips that I share with my people in the Food Fam Facebook group, which some of our members are here, like Keisha is in the group. All right, so I'm going to skip to the meal planner. So each week you get a meal planner, and it has space for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so like I said, I'm giving you the recipes and the grocery shopping list, and then you are actually going to take the time to write out when you're going to eat those things. And this is something you can do whether or not you're doing the Daniel fast. This is something you can do just in regular life to help you stay on track, to help you not necessarily count calories, but to help you make sure that you have a plan. Because when you don't have a plan, just like the Bible says, without a plan, the people will perish. And not to say that obviously that's going to happen to you on this, but your level of success of being able to focus on God or focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on just in your general day is going to increase when you have a plan for food. Food is something that happens at least 3 to 5 times a day. And so if we are spending all of our time and all of our energy at a time where you're not going to have the energy to be able to devote to this because you're already tired, you're detoxing from all the sugar, then you want to make sure that you have a plan in place. And so I give you a place for that each week to be able to map that out. Does that mean you have to follow this to a T? No. But having some kind of loose plan or some kind of loose vision will definitely help you. Then each week there's scriptures throughout the devotionals, but each week there are scriptures that will help you to kind of get that through that week. So just like this one, write the vision and make it plain on tablets that he who runs may read it. That's what we were talking about there. And then at the beginning of the fast, I also want you to set intentions. And so I have a page for that. So what are you believing in God for yourself? What are you believing for others as well? And to just write those out and map them out. All right, so this kind of gives you an idea of what the days look like in the devotional. So you have your different tips and ideas. And there's also a bonus site where I will add on the recipes, I'll add on scriptures, I'll add on different things that will help you. And when you get your book, you can actually scan the back of the book with your phone. So there's a QR code on the back. Open up your phone's camera, and then it'll take you right to the site, or the site's also listed in here as well. All right, so we're going to read day 2. Okay, so if you're on Instagram, I'm reading from day 2 of the Daniel Fast Food and Faith Journal. And if you were on other platforms, this is exactly what the book will look like when you get it. And some of you got today. Thanks for ordering on the pre-sale. All right, so day 2, how's your heart? That might seem like a health question since I focus on helping families create healthy meals for their kids. But in this case, it's more of a biblical question. Let me explain. For where your treasure is, there also your heart. There, your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. Now, I definitely don't claim to be a Bible scholar, but sometimes I'll read different translations to better understand a verse. When I want a quick word that's easy to understand, then the Common English Bible translation is my go-to option. But sometimes when I want to get a little bit more detail, then I'll switch to the Amplified version. That one reads, "For where your treasure is, there your heart, your wishes, your desires, that on which your life centers will be also." And so that is something that I still do if I am like, I just need to get to the point. I'll use Common English or other versions. And then if I'm like, I need kind of like, not the Cliff Notes, but I need the extended version, then I will look at the Amplified version. All right, Keisha said, yes, I'm most excited about the grocery list and meal plans. Last year, I mostly ate 3 basic things. One was peanut butter sandwiches. Okay, yes. And the recipes I have don't include sandwiches. Only because most people don't do bread on the Daniel Fast because it's very hard to find a bread that is Daniel Fast approved. Ezekiel bread can work depending on the version you're doing. But yes, definitely having other options. All right, so what does this have to do with food again? Well, a lot. Since I first started doing the Daniel Fast 21-day Food and Faith Challenge, the top question I get is, so what can I eat? People want to know what is allowed and not allowed. Depending upon which version of Daniel 10:2 and 3 you read, it says that he didn't eat much. He didn't eat meat or rich foods. It also says that he didn't anoint himself / put on lotion / bathe. I don't know about you, but I definitely shower at least once a day during the fast. And so that's something where you have to kind of, this is a caveat, this is not in the book, but that's kind of a caveat that you need to determine, because some translations say he didn't basically bathe for 3 weeks. And most of us are not doing that. Most of us are bathing. And it doesn't specifically say everything that he did not eat. And so that's why you see the variations in the different types of Daniel fasts. And so the recipes I will give will basically include the things we talked about before. So all plants, all vegetables, nuts, legumes, things like that, whole wheat. But other versions, you might see other things in there. And so you have to just decide what you're sticking with and stick with it. And to me, it's not necessarily so much about what you are or aren't eating, but about your commitment to it. So don't decide, oh, well, I'm not going to eat these things. And then you get a craving and you're like, okay, I'm going to switch and eat it. That kind of defeats the purpose. That's not really what we're going for. At the same time, don't beat yourself up if you have a moment where you get off track. Just like with any other eating change or any, I don't want to say diet, any other change that you're having. There's a chance you're going to make a mistake. Like there was one time, you'll read about it later, that I accidentally ate something that I didn't realize wasn't Daniel Fast approved. And once I realized it, I stopped eating it because Marshall said something. He was like, it was soup from an Asian restaurant. I didn't realize it had egg ribbons in it. It was hot and sour soup, and they add egg ribbons. And so I was like, oh, okay, I need to stop eating this. And so I stopped eating it, and I froze it, and then I ate it later. So it's okay to make a mistake. Just don't sit in that mistake. All right. Okay, so my point is that you can get caught up in focusing so much on the food and trying to follow things to a T that you miss God. He's more interested in your heart, intention, and follow through. My job is to make sure you have options that will keep you physically fed to help you focus on being spiritually fed. Still, at some point during the next few weeks, you're probably going to end up faced with something you're not sure if it's okay to eat. When this happens, just remember Matthew 6:21 and ask yourself, will eating this store up treasures in heaven through my sacrifice? Does this honor my sacrifice to God and push me towards strengthening my faith? If you can answer yes, then gladly enjoy it. If it's a no for you, then sis, put it down and walk away. Easier said than done, I know, but by resisting, you are standing in agreement that your relationship with God is truly far more important than any food on earth. When we're obedient and reverent, He honors our needs and even our wants. So take time to honor Him today and thank God for the opportunity to grow closer to Him. And if you're really unsure as to whether something or not is improved, I have a Pinterest board that I also have included of things that you can eat or not eat. So there's links for that. And then 3 questions you can ask yourself to check and make sure. So did it come from an animal? Does it have added sugar or chemicals that you can't pronounce on the label? That usually means it's heavily processed. Was it deep fried? Then now you can't eat it. So cauliflower, like I've read a meme that was like, oh, cauliflower has the biggest come up in the past 10 years. They're making cauliflower buffalo wings, they're making cauliflower pizza, which is fine. Cauliflower pizza is okay. But if you are having to add in, if it's like deep fried, no, that's not the point. We're not doing deep fried cauliflower on the fast, at least with me on my recipes. Okay. Excuse me. When you get tempted by food, write here about what your thoughts and feelings are at that moment. Okay. So that's an example of day 2. And so I'll take you through some of the rest of the week so you can see the end of the week kind of wrap up. Scrolling. And then I do also talk about eating out because I know that's always a thing. So to help you out with that. So at the end of each week, there is a reflection page. And so it has a spot that says, this week I saw God show up. So that's where you're going to really highlight the things that really where God was showing out and where he was doing his thing and showing you that he was there with you. Then there's another section that says a win that you had this week. And that win can be something small. It could be something big. Don't feel like it has to be something monumental. A win is a win. And that's something I posted earlier last week. It was just to be funny, was an accomplishment of 2020 that I had. And one of them was finishing a tube of chapstick, because y'all, I don't ever finish a tube of chapstick. And this is probably the 2nd or 3rd time in my life that I've done that. Probably because I kept it in the same spot instead of moving it around with me. And because I've been in the house. But that's not the point. Because there's been other times where I've been in the house over the summer and I didn't finish it. So my point is to say that no accomplishment is too big or too small to add in there. And then another section is this week I struggled with. It's important to really think about what was holding you back. What were some things that maybe were triggers? And so, like, for example, also I'm doing Noom just to get back, not to get back to my pre-baby weight, but just to get back to a healthier version of me. The quarantine 15 plus is real. And so I'm doing that as well, just to kind of have a healthy habit in terms of being mindful of what I'm eating, not really a diet, but just being aware of why I'm eating certain things. And so this will help out with that as well. But it's important to know what you're struggling with. So what is something that is a trigger for you? So like for me, I used to have ice cream as a trigger on Fridays. Fridays meant end of the week, I'm going to get ice cream. And it wasn't even that I wanted it. It was just, it's Friday, so it's ice cream day. And so think about what things are triggering you. And then also celebrate what you were motivated by. So I stayed motivated by doing this. Maybe by posting in the Daniel Fast group that we have and checking in with other believers who are doing the Daniel Fast at the same time. That might be something that is part of your motivation. And that group is open to anybody as well. You don't have to be a purchaser of the book or of the bundle. And then, all right, so this just repeats pretty much the same there. So I'm going to stop sharing, screen sharing. But before we go, I do want to do one more giveaway. And all right, we got some more people. Hey, Simasi, thanks for tuning in. And then Rayman Kids, thanks for tuning in. Hey, trying to see names. Hey, Philly, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we are almost finished. And I will repost this if you came in late or if you had to go or something like that. All right, so as a final reminder, the pre-sales end tomorrow. And so included with the pre-sale, you get a copy of the book. You will get the Daniel Fast course, which includes cooking videos. It includes the devotionals in a digital format. So that way, if there was a certain day you wanted to go back to or things like that, then you could do it that way. You'll also get access to the Daniel Fast Challenge. So in January, probably the 2nd week of January, I'll be doing the Daniel Fast, 2nd through whatever week. I'll be doing the Daniel Fast, and so I'll invite you to a group. We will do it together. We'll have weekly check-ins. And I'll do cooking things as well there. So that's all included in the pre-sale bundle. That's $47. And then if you just want to get the book, it's $11.99. And so the link for that, I'll put back into the chat. And that is available until tomorrow. But if you just want to get the book, or if you want to support over on Amazon, you can it's actually available now. I said it wasn't going to be available till later, but it got posted earlier, Divine Intervention, so it's available now. And you can just search Chef Ashley Shep, Daniel Fast. Actually, I'll put the link in there for that too. So, oh, and there's some more comments that I missed over in here. Okay, so Shawnee said the eggs are going to be a huge... Hold on, sorry. Too many screens. All right, eggs are going to be a huge sacrifice. They do have vegan eggs, Shawnee, if that's something that you're interested in. It's called Just Eggs, which is funny because it's not actual eggs. You could try that as a transitional point. That might be an option. Oh, okay. And then also I see Shawnee answered as well. So we can add you to the bundle. Also, let me write that down. So with this streaming platform, it's supposed to give me all my comments in one spot, but it looks like it didn't do that. Gotta love technology. Okay, let me write down Shawnee and then also Corel from earlier. And then I think another comment popped up. Okay, let me actually go through and make sure I didn't miss anybody else's now that I see that it's not doing that. All right, so I'm gonna put the link for the book in the chat as well. It comes in paperback or hardcover. So whichever option you would like. There. Okay. All right, so let me check these comments. Okay, actually, I'll do this. I'll go back and go through and comment to them because I don't want to miss anybody on either platform. So are there any other questions? Thank you all for tuning in. I went a little over what I anticipated, but you just start talking with family and you just keep going. All right, so for our last giveaway, this is actually for a different service. And so this is for my Simplify Mealtime program. And so what that is I plan out your meals for you and I order your groceries for you. And so you tell me things you're allergic to. I come up with things you can eat. And then I provide you with quick, healthy recipes done in 30 minutes or less. And then I add items to your virtual grocery shopping cart for you. And you can do pickup or delivery. You can take out things you don't want. You can add things you need for other things like snacks, things like that. And so the last prize is for a week of that service. And so my question for this one, when was the book originally done by? And so for this question, I'm going to leave it open until later tonight in case anybody wants to watch the replay. And then I will go through the comments and pick a winner from there. All right, so I am going to let you all go now that I've talked your head off. But if there is anything else that you have questions about, anything I haven't explained properly, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to re-explain that again. I'll also put in the chat the Daniel Fast group, and so some of you are already in that group as well, but if you are not just yet, it's a place where you can also get inspiration, you can get additional recipes, you can be there with other believers. Some people are already starting their Daniel Fast, like I know someone started it last week because they wanted to just do it early. And so you can check that out as well. And so thank you all for tuning in. If you already ordered a pre-sale, book before Saturday, they're on the way. Some of them arrive today. Some of them will arrive tomorrow. You will get an email when it arrives to you, and I can update you on shipping if you have questions about that. It just happened way faster than I anticipated, so I didn't already do that. If you ordered today or yesterday, then I will be shipping those out. Well, I'll be ordering them tonight, and then hopefully they'll ship out in the next day or two. So you should have yours by the time the fast starts. All right. Okay. Nikki, I will make sure you get the link to order a book, and I'll put it in the food fam as well. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in, and I pray that you have a safe rest of this year and a safe 2021. I'll see you again in 2021, of course. But if I don't, I pray that it's the reset and the refresh that we're looking for. And I pray that your relationship with God grows closer instead of further apart. And thank you so much for your support. So have a good evening.